Hey everybody, Declan here for a little bit of an impromptu pop-up call on a Tuesday evening. As you might see if you read the comments around this video, it's a random time for me to go live, but it is a privilege and a pleasure to be going live and helping out a wonderful guy, a coach of mine, a friend of mine, a mentor of mine, a big brother in some circumstances, a counselor, psychotherapist. Definitely has pushed a couple of Guinness on me in his time, but he's one hell of a guy, and his name is Doug Dane, and today is the launch of a book that he's been working on for quite a while, probably his whole life in some circumstances. So I'm going to be bringing him on here now in a minute. So stay tuned, and to help Doug out with the marketing and promotion of this wonderful book, I want you to like and share this video wherever you're watching it right now. So without further ado, let's bring the great man on, Mr. Doug Dane.
Hello, my friend.
Well, listen, everything I said is true, especially that you forced a couple of Guinness on me in my time. That's the truth. That's it.
I think it
Uh,
was mutual. I think.
but those days are gone. We've matured now, Doug. We're all grown up. Some of us have become authors, don't you know? So yeah, listen, what a great day for you. How are you feeling?
I'm excited. You know, it's. I was thinking. I woke up this morning early and thinking about how am I feeling, and 'cause that's tough to put into words. I never set out to write a book, but there's a message in the book, and there's a process in the book that all these people have come to me over the years going, Doug, how did you go from where you came from to where you are now? And I couldn't really effectively transfer to you where it was duplicatable.
Yeah.
And so I'm very, humbled and grateful and honored that I was able to, not just me, but the people that helped me put this together. Here's the book.
Yeah, that's it.
To put it together. And so it's like they say, writing a book is like having a child. So it's born, it's alive, and now I got to go introduce him to the world.
Right. So let's hold it up again. Come on, now I'm going to get this name out here. I love the cover. I love the writing. Mistaken Identity by Doug Dane. A guide to letting go. Okay. So stop. What is it? Stop hiding.
Stop hiding and start living. A guide to letting go of a past that's holding you back.
Well, as you gave me such great guidance in the last number of years when I moved into the career of coaching and personal development, I think everybody has a certain skill set. There are certain people you meet along the way that you'd go to for confidence and for a little arm around the shoulder and all these different things from time to time. But for you, probably all of those, but definitely I would always have held you in very high regard as a bit of an expert when it came to the area of self-image. You identified a book by Maxwell Maltz called Psycho-Cybernetics as probably one of your favorites. And there it is. So am I right in saying that the information in Mistaken Identity, of course, it's your own personal journey and story in life, but does it kind of, what's the phrase they use nowadays? Does it speak to your appreciation for the power of the self-image?
Yeah, definitely. So, like I said, I didn't set out to write a book, but there was over the last, like you said, probably my whole life, but definitely over the last 8 years, when I finally realized that I didn't know I was successful in business, but I didn't feel good about myself. I didn't know that I had control over my thinking.
Hmm.
I did not know that my mind is a machine. I am the operator, and it directs my brain and nervous system, which obviously that creates my thoughts and my feelings and my physical state. I didn't know any of that because I was walking around. I was trying to succeed, but on the other hand, I was a hypocrite because I had a victim mentality because of what I went through and the mistakes I made because of what I went through. And being a victim is very convenient. It gives you lots of ways to get off the hook with stuff. So the way I wanted to write a book, because it was somebody that I worked with at Procter Gallagher with Bob, and worked very closely with Bob. He said, Doug, he was a big fan of Psycho-Cybernetics, Bob was, and this
Yeah.
chap and I were chatting, he goes, I can't find a book out there that basically describes how to do this. He talks about self-image and self-confidence, self-esteem. And he said, when you put the book together, Doug, make it instructive. So it's instructive, it's directive, and it's prescriptive. And so the way it's designed is that each chapter is only like 3 or 4 pages long. It's about 5-minute read. There's 30 chapters. And each chapter opens with a quote that kind of opens the principle within the chapter. I tell a bit about my story. So it's a very raw, open book. There's no hiding, because I hid way too long in my life. Wow. And so it's a bit of my story, and then there's a principle that I bring out in order to get you to change the way you're thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And so in the chapter, I'm able to get your attention, change your mind while you're reading it. And then there's a piece of scripture that I ask you to meditate on. And whether you believe in God or not, or whether you're comfortable with that, it doesn't really matter. I just want you to consider what this scripture, what God might be thinking or saying about you, whether you believe in him or not. And then there's some insights. I get you to jot down some insights. And then there's an action step, a very simple action step. And the idea is I gotta change your mind. And while I have your mind change, and you're not looking at your mistaken identity, you're looking at your true self and what you really want your life to look like, then I get you to take an action step. And so it's very, very effective. I just put through, I had 150 people in an observational trial that were over 40 days. They read the book cover to cover first. It's not a long read, like it's about a 2.5-hour read cover to cover.
Yeah.
And then they were doing one chapter a day where they'd read the chapter, do the meditation, jot down their key insights, and then take the action step. And man, oh man, like I'm just so humbled by what this book is doing to people. I tell people in the book, don't try to fix yourself. Don't work on yourself. Let the book work on you.
Yeah.
That's what it does. But it's all about, the mistaken identity. We just, everybody just has a mistaken view or opinion of themselves. It's limiting. Some stuff you believe just is not true, regardless of the evidence that you have to convince me that you're not as good as you are, or you don't like yourself or whatever. That's our fundamental problem. We just got locked into this mistaken view of ourselves, some mistaken beliefs. We went with that. We started to live with that. Of course, because we saw ourselves that way, we acted that way. We got results to confirm we were that.
Yeah.
We continue to hide. We continue to stay small. We continue to hold back. We continue to suffer. And I don't think anybody should suffer like people are suffering these days.
Yeah. So you actually had to go through the message of the book, because you're transforming from, I know I spent a little bit of time with you in Mexico about 16 or 17 months ago now. And I think around that time you were having that little dance between, who am I and should I bring out a book and the message. And even I remember at the time you were how you just described it to everybody here is exactly how you described it to me. And I remember thinking this is a great idea, because just true to the man that you are, you always talk to me and my colleagues who were, very well led by you about the processes, not just taking action as I've done all the time, jump in and ask questions later, but why are you doing it, your process around it, the spiritual aspects to it, entering into the spirit of it, like getting, don't just do it, like think about why you want to do it and who's going to benefit from it and the action. So it's very methodical and very organized, but also it sounds very exciting, because people can get a direct feeling from it straight away from reading it. And, it's very good. I know he had passed on before he launched it, but Bob would be very proud, because Bob's teaching was all about the experiential learning of something. It's great that people say, I know. Yeah, I know about self-image. And I know the power of meditating and contemplating something. I know. Everyone says they know everything, but it's the doing of it, and it's the understanding and the application. So your book seems to be taking us from the top down, like from the conceptual idea of an idea into how we process and filter that idea, internalize it, and act on it. So you're clever.
It's very. I'm glad you brought that up. It's very experiential. I say that in the introduction. You experience this book, right? You don't learn to love. You just experience love, and so the idea is to experience this book. And I was always, one of the chapters is called "Let It Go," and it's dedicated really, I mean, Bob's throughout the book, of course, in my own words and my own stories, but um, he challenged me, and one of my earlier mentors when I first went public with this, this violent, abusive story as a kid, was you better walk the talk, Doug. And I was always that way in business. When I first started in business, I wanted to prove to myself that I could do something. And so I was always very successful. I'd always become kind of the top guy in my company by results. I was very results oriented. And then I felt qualified to help other people. But like, I can't lead you up Mount Everest unless I've gone up there myself.
Yeah.
And so those messages, and Bob drilled that into me too. And I think in part, I probably used that a little bit as leverage to procrastinate on the book. I probably could have written this, earlier, but I think everything happens right on time. And so I experienced the book. I mean, the book is laid out based on, what I did. And, if any of you watching now, if you'd been in Mexico with Declan and I was a different guy then than you see right here,
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it is about it, experiencing it. And I really believe that there's so many people that are struggling out there. 60% of the population have stories like mine. They're called adverse childhood experiences, which is some form of abuse, emotional abuse, sexual abuse, physical abuse, witnessing violence, neglect, mistreatment. I went through all of those. And that's 60% of the population.
Wow.
And so there's a lot of people struggling. But then there's the other 40%, they were brought up to believe certain things. They had rules drilled into them. They were judged at a very young age. They started judging themselves. And the parents didn't know what the hell they were talking about, meaning that they don't really know you because they're not you. They did their best and stuff. And so I think it's important, if you're struggling in any way, shape, or form in your life, it's because you're not being yourself. And that's one of the chapters, is this idea about being yourself. It's a lot easier to be yourself. So anyway.
I know it's so interesting for you to say that. It's a lot easier to be yourself, but I think to discover who you really are, who you truly are, is not something that happens overnight. It's like writing your book. It's taken some time. You said it took maybe longer than it should have, but that's probably you. Some little underlying message there that you're not good enough, beating yourself up. Of course it was done in time. But Doug, what would you say to people like that, who are like, God, I have a big road ahead of me. What Doug said about is finding my true self. Like, where do I even start? Like, what would you recommend to people?
You know what? I say it in the book. So, I worked with Bob closely, Bob Proctor, for 8 years, and we became friends. And of course, I could, he was one of the few people that I could, confide in. And he kept telling me, Doug, he said, just let it go. He goes, this is so simple. You're making it so complicated. Life is not hard. You're making it hard. And I go, no, Bob, you don't understand. You don't get it. He goes, okay, Doug, whatever you say. And so I did drag this out way too long. And I say in the book, listen, this is really simple. It's not complex or complicated, and it can happen really, really fast.
Yeah.
And so I started coaching people and mentoring people, and I was seeing these like fast changes, but only with the people that were willing to consider the idea that it could be simple and fast.
Yeah.
And when Bob said it's so simple, yet it's so misunderstood, he said, your upbringing, your conditioning, your paradigm, your mistaken identity, your way of learning, you're locked into. You're not open to the idea that it could be simple. And so in the beginning of the book, I'm trying to show you, demonstrate, and convince you, just give me 30 or 60 days. Let the book work on you. It can happen really fast. I'll give you an example. There's a young lady. So I did this book trial. I had 150 people go through the book. And she sent me a message. She said, Doug, I spent the month of February. I read a chapter a day. I did the exercise every day. She said, February 2023, without exaggeration, has been absolutely the best year of my life. Mm-hmm. And she listed all the things that she let go of. And it was these instant shifts. I got a text from her a couple of weeks later, because one of her problems was she wasn't really she had self-confidence issues, and you wouldn't know it. I mean, she's
Oh yeah.
beautiful. I mean, you just would never know she was dealing with anything. And one of the areas that she struggled, which shocked me, was relationships. I wouldn't have known that about her. And anyway, she sent me a text a couple of weeks later. She goes, "Doug, you're not going to believe it, but literally, I just met the love of my life." Because in the book, I say, when you love yourself and you love your life, you'll meet the love of your life. And that person might be you. Anyway, so it can happen fast if you're open to the idea. But I keep telling you, don't try to fix yourself. Don't work on yourself. Let the book work on you.
Yeah. There's a lovely coincidence, actually. A girl that we knew from Toronto, you and I, she was a consultant for a little while and then kind of moved away from it, I think. Reached out to me recently, and I just thought of her because there was a particular time, one of the trainings, and you were teaching us a lot about that, about the simplicity that we're sitting in our seats, and you were really just coaching us on that. Whatever you're holding on to this moment, now just let it go. And I remember, I think she was quite young, not to say young, she was quite new to the material. And we were sitting outside and we were supposed to be doing mock meetings with the client in a cafe or whatever. So she had me and I had her, and we sat there. And I very, very quickly picked up on the fact that she was putting herself under so much pressure, feeling like she was failing her children. And she was like, "How in the hell did you know that?" And you can almost taste it and smell it in the air. It's like, I could see it. And the way she was talking about not moving forward, and she was so worried and everything. And, I was like, "I think you're doing a great job as a mom. Do you ever tell yourself that?" She burst out crying, and it's like the stuff people are holding on to. "Oh, I don't know. They barely see me and I'm not," really people do a number on themselves, don't they, Doug?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. The first chapter of the book is called Stop Judging. Originally, when the book idea, was, really when the book was coming to life, I had another book in me, and I'm on a mission to end judgment. Judgment is the real pandemic. We were judged when we were little if we didn't follow the rules. We were judged through the eyes of the adults, and very quickly we learned to judge ourselves. And that's how we got off track, where we didn't really feel good about ourselves or like ourselves, or start asking the question, what's wrong with me? And it's all about judgment. So the first chapter, in fact, some people said just chapter 1 alone has been a game changer. And so in the chapter, I get you to stop judging. I say, don't worry about you. Just form the habit of stop judging other people. Then habitually you'll stop judging yourself. And if people judge you, you'll realize it's not about you, and you'll be immune. And really, if you think about judgment, how many problems that's causing in your life, and in the world. And I think that's the fundamental place we got to start. And when you understand why you're judging yourself, how it started, and why you are, it's nothing to do with you, and it's not your parents' fault. It's that's just the way that you were raised, and you learn to do it, which means you can unlearn it and you can relearn a different way.
Doug, we could talk all day, and I know I'm going to have you on for another conversation in the next week or so, because I'd like to have you on my new podcast. So
Sure.
I definitely want to talk about this and probably schedule in a longer time. But my book is on the way. I was one of the first ones to buy it. The minute the link went in the WhatsApp, I bought it. And it's on its way, a hardback, I believe, as well. So I remember at the time saying April, and here we are. We're ready to go. So I wanted to ask you to tell the people that are viewing this video live and watching it back, how do they go about getting your book?
Yeah, go to DougDane.com. If you want to go through my website, we've got a book bonus that expires today. If you're listening now, go to DougDane.com. You'll scroll down a bit, you'll see the book image where you can order the book. So if you order the book through my website, basically we're getting your email address so we can send you the book bonus, which we've created a workbook that goes with the book, and you can grab that today. And then we have you pick, your store, Amazon, Barnes and Noble in the US, Indigo in Canada, whatever. Or just, you can just go to your own bookstore online and just search Doug Dane, Stake and Identity, and you'll find it there. And that's and just search Doug Dane online. You'll find me there, or go to my website, DougDane.com.
Well, hang on, we'll go one better. See, your buddy here is really on another level, Doug.
Oh, look at you. Yeah, just scroll down a bit. That's my website.
Okay, hang on now. I say I speak too early. I'm on another level. Okay, so you scroll down from Doug's website, and there it is, mistaken identity. So you order now, and then buy now here. Okay, so they'll just figure it out and follow it from there.
Yeah. The second card is I'm in that second mistaken identity lessons. I'm inviting, if you buy the book, I'm inviting people in to go through the book with me over 90 days if you want to do that. So you can hang out with me and I'll take a deeper dive with you. But the red card is where you order the book.
No worries. Well, I want to see you there because I presume I'm invited.
We'll invite
yes?
you. We'll invite you.
You hesitated. Everyone saw that you hesitate right there. All right, listen, Doug Dane. I think I was going to say you're judging my beard, but of course you're not. But listen, my friend, it's a very, very memorable day in your life, and you deserve every minute of it. And I'm excited because the thing about this book is this is going to be around a lot longer than you are. So you've just started something today that is going to keep rippling out and rippling out and rippling out and being handed around, and you're probably never going to know the good that this is going to do. So I want to say I commend you and I congratulate you, and well done. You know, you're a great leader, but now you're also leading by example, because a lot of us talk about and think about books, and you've done it, and you're doing it in a really good way. I'm excited to see the results coming from this. I think knowing you and knowing the work you put into it and the work you're putting into the promotion of it and everything, you know, you're pouring a lot of good into the book as you do into the people that you coach and the people that you've helped over the years. So it just has to be a huge success. There's no two ways about it. You follow certain laws, and the way the book has been written and the intention behind it, it's just going to be a great success. So I want to congratulate you and I want to thank you. And I look forward to getting it, and I look forward to going through the program as well with you.
All right, cool. And I'll see you in Ireland soon. I'm coming over.
Well, that's nice. Good. Tell me exactly when, and I'll get the golf clubs all cleaned up and ready.
Okay, buddy. Thanks again. I appreciate
it. Of course.
Take care.
Bye-bye.